So I tried the world's simplest productivity trick and it worked. I mean, this is really nothing fancy, no program, no blueprint, just a chair, a wall, and me. Fighting my own mind, battling against time, pushing aside the need to do something productive. I stood there, or sat there, for much longer than I anticipated, but it was worth it. I'm talking life-changing worth it. I didn't know such a stupid concept would change my life, but let me explain. Now I'm gonna share these secrets that made this experiment so life-changing for me. And you are not going to believe what happened at the very end. So let's dive straight into it. Part number 1, the resistance threshold. So I was sitting there doing absolutely nothing, just staring at a wall. And I just had the immediate urge to do something. I was just itching to pick up my phone and just scroll or do something. Or, like go and work and sit at my desk and check my emails. I had the urge to just do something, to just think about something. And I just kept having this thought of, this is pointless. This is not gonna work. I should be doing something. And time just slows down. 10 minutes start to feel like 5 hours, 6 hours. And it's like, you remember the plank that you had to do in 6th grade PE class, and it just felt so long. It felt so boring. Now, this is a symptom of overstimulation. When you can't sit by yourself and do anything, it means you're overstimulated, and that means that your dopamine baseline is really high. And if your dopamine baseline is really high, that also explains exactly why you find it hard to focus, you find it hard to do the good habits, and you also find it hard to pretty much do anything that is gonna get you the success that you want. Now, it's not that you're lazy or that you can't focus, it's just that you have to rewire your dopamine system. And that's exactly why I spent the last 6 months sitting and doing nothing. Think about it, who would have even known that sitting and doing nothing was actually the most productive thing you could do? So if you want to work and build success and actually get somewhere in life, then you are going to need focus, right? And to be able to focus on something for long periods of time, which is what you need to see the results you want to see, you are going to need to do this experiment. You are going to need to stare at a wall. Now, who knew that staring at a wall is going to make you successful? I didn't know, but I started and I did it, and it's gonna help you so much. Now, surprise, surprise, your dopamine system is probably depleted. You're probably overstimulated, and as you're watching this video, you're probably looking at the recommended or on your phone or checking something else. Or you're probably watching this video while doing something else. You're multitasking. So stay with me here. I'm gonna want you to finish this video. And also comment how long you're gonna stare at a wall for. Your first session begins after this video. I'm gonna do this, you should do this, and this is gonna change your life. Part number 2, the breakdown of noise. You see, I started to do this so frequently, right? I would just sit and do nothing 15 minutes every single day, at least 15 minutes. And I just did this over and over and over again. And what I noticed is I would increase the time each day. The same way progressive overload at the gym, you just increase the weights each time. As you get more comfortable with a certain weight, you just increase and do either more reps, more volume, or more weight. Now, this is the same thing with meditation, with sitting and doing nothing. The more comfortable you get sitting and doing nothing for 15 minutes, you need to start increasing and adding more volume. And that's what I did. And every time there was this initial pain. Every time I sat down, there was just this urge and itch to do something, to just go and move and fidget and play with a pen and do something, anything. And I'm trying to sit here and just do nothing, right? And then all of a sudden, next thing I know, there's a pen in my hand and I'm doing, pen spins. And I'm just pen spinning for another 10 to 15 minutes, even though I know that I had to just sit and do nothing. You see, once you get over this initial phase, the transition phase where you feel like you have to go and do something, it starts to get easy. And that is the shift where your dopamine system starts to actually shift and rewire. And you just start noticing how noisy your mind actually is. But that discomfort, it actually transforms and it changes from this rush and incessant need to do something to this peace and calm, and you're just in this state of meditation. You're almost in a state of bliss. You begin observing thoughts instead of just reacting to them all the time. You begin entering this state of zen, this state of flow. And that's exactly the flow state you need to build success, to be disciplined, to be more consistent. And that's exactly what we teach inside the Discipline OS. If you want a different life, you are going to have to be a different person. A disciplined, consistent, focused version of yourself that does the things they have to do, that shows up every single day, and as a result, they get the result. Now, if you like this type of video with an experiment-based topic, just something practical and not just theoretical advice, then leave a comment below, like this video, and please subscribe. Part number 3, clarity after stillness. So at this point, it had been almost 1 month of doing this practice, this experiment that changed my life. You see, I wanted this experiment to be thorough. I wanted to be able to focus for longer, focus for better, and not always feel like I'm forcing myself to read, to journal, to meditate, to exercise, and to do the good things. Because when you're overstimulated and your dopamine baseline is high, it becomes almost 4 times harder to do the same things. Everything becomes way more of a struggle, like reading, like just basic habits, deep work. They just become so like, there's so much friction. I didn't want to continue living like that. I wanted to actually get to a place where I want to do everything that's good for me. The point where what I want and what are best for my future are literally the same thing. You actually start to love the deep work. You start to love the meditation, the reading. You look forward to the good habits. And that is where your life starts to change. And this was my daily meditation ritual. Just sitting and doing nothing. And being able to create boredom, to be bored, to let yourself be bored, because that's what's going to lead to success. If you're constantly overstimulated and like you just have input, you have all this information, all this stimulation coming in, you just don't have the space to think. You don't have the space to build something, to become a millionaire, to succeed. You need to create space to be able to take action, to be able to do different things. If you do things the same way you always have, you will get these same results. So to be able to do something different is what is going to get you a different result. Different inputs equals different outputs. But if you're constantly in this cycle of like you have no space to think outside of the box, you're never going to be able to come to the conclusion that you're going to have to take different action. You're going to be stuck doing the same things, thinking the same way, and feeling the same way. And if you think, feel, and do in the same way, then you're gonna live the same life for as long as you're doing, thinking, and feeling in the same way. The moment that you make the shift and you just start to think differently, do differently, and act differently, that is when your external reality starts to change. If I want to be a millionaire, I'm going to have to do, think, and feel and act like that future version of myself who is a millionaire. Not in 5 years, not in 3 years, but right now, today. If I want to be a successful YouTuber, I'm going to have to do, think, and act like a successful YouTuber. If I want to be a professional athlete, I'm going to do the exact same thing. Think, feel, and do like that version of myself. And this whole practice, this whole meditation allows you to create space where you can start doing, thinking, and feeling differently. And that is going to change your life from the most fundamental way. Because if you have more space, you're going to take more action, you're going to have more urgency. And in 1 year, you are going to achieve 5 years worth of progress. Just because you did the right things. Just because you eliminated mental noise. Because you allowed yourself to just reflect, to sit and do nothing and just be bored. Boredom is amazing. It creates clarity, and clarity removes procrastination. One of my best friends just dropped me with this quote a long time ago, and he told me procrastination is the absence of clarity. Now there's actually 2 versions of this. Procrastination is the absence of consequence, which means that if you don't have consequences behind not doing the work, you're just going to procrastinate. And also procrastination is the absence of clarity. When you have no system, no structure, no clarity, you don't really have guidance, you're going to procrastinate because what else are you going to do? So doing this exercise invites clarity, and the more clarity you have, the less you're going to procrastinate, the more action you're going to take, the more you're going to see results in your life. The more money you're going to make, the better physique you're going to have, the more work you're going to be able to do, the better focus, the more confidence you're going to have, the better habits you're going to have in your life, and you're just going to live a better, more purposeful, more self-mastery life. You see, this urge to constantly do something or escape the moment, this is the urge that allows you to invite distraction. If you think about it, when you're sitting at your desk and doing deep work, you get this urge to check something else, to open a new tab, to, just think about something else, to go and do something else. Now, this is the biggest thing that makes you distracted. Now, to avoid this and combat this and work against this, what we're gonna have to do is just sit in silence for 15 minutes, overcome the urge to do something, to think about something, to fidget. And now you are learning and training your mind to overcome the same mechanism of distraction. You're practicing to be resilient to distraction, to losing focus. And that is the whole point of meditation. And that's also the whole point of literally sitting, staring at a wall, doing nothing. I used to be so restless. I used to be out with my friends thinking about work. I'm just like thinking about what I'm gonna do. People just talk to me and I'm a blank wall and I just like don't even answer because my mind is completely somewhere else. I'd be just like doing anything and just like, I need to fidget, I need to play with something, I need to just like do something. Now this mechanism actually caused me to be so distracted with my work, with my habits, with everything. Now as soon as I just did this most simplest productivity trick, my life changed. I stopped being restless and I started actually being calm and composed. I started to be at peace, just being able to do nothing. And as a result, my focus improved. I've become 2 times to 3 times more productive than I was. I've been able to achieve more, live my dream life, make better videos on YouTube, make more videos on YouTube, post more, go to the gym more, and do everything better. And my quality of life has improved. I stopped procrastinating. I stopped wasting time. I stopped scrolling because my dopamine baseline has shifted. Now, most people are going to think this experiment is about sitting and doing nothing. Now, the whole point here is actually control over attention and avoidance. Because once you start noticing those two things, attention and avoidance, you start to see the gap in your systems. You start to see where your bucket of life actually has holes in it and is leaking. Because you don't want to pour water into a leaking bucket, because the more you pour in, the more is going to come out. Instead, you want to fix the bucket, like I always say, and then once you're sure that the bucket has no leaks, then you pour water into it. You see, that's what we help people fix directly. No motivation, no hacks, but actual discipline, actual foundation and identity systems that are going to help you make fundamental change. Now, if you're done being inconsistent, being distracted, losing focus, and being that undisciplined version of yourself, and you're ready to make a real change so you can be that disciplined, consistent version of yourself who achieves their goals, then apply through the link in the description below. Now remember, a bad workout will always beat a skipped one. Take care, and you got this.